Welcome to Unrelatable. For those of you who have been longtime listeners of my podcast, you will notice that we have gone through some changes around here. The podcast has rebranded, and I am so excited about it. We have a new name, a new thumbnail, and lots of really cool new topics coming up. So, this episode that I wanted to share with you is an excerpt, one of the episodes from my 7-Figure CEO Playbook private podcast series. So, in addition to the amazing episode you were about to hear, there are 5 other episodes of this private podcast. So, if you want to get your hands on that, the link is in the show notes to sign up. It's completely free. And after hearing this one, I am 100% sure you are going to want to dive into the 7-Figure CEO Playbook. But for now, listen and enjoy to Positioning That Sells. Go from their BFF to an aspirational authority. Welcome back. Today's topic is really simple. Being relatable online is making you broke. I estimate that the Internet BFF marketing strategy that many people are running is costing the average 6-figure coach $50,000 to $100,000 per year in lost premium revenue. Why? Because you can't be a peer and a guide at the same time. And this is going to be both a structural and a messaging shift, going from your audience's Internet BFF to an aspirational authority. This is not a mindset shift only, this is a conversion strategy. Think about the world's most recognizable brands. Apple doesn't ask you to relate to its struggles. When Steve Jobs, rest in peace, was alive, he was not popping on the internet every day with his latest vulnerable post. Apple doesn't ask you to commiserate with its production challenges. They invite you to be a part of seamless innovation and minimalist design. Classic Dior and Ralph Lauren campaigns don't show you a life you already lead. They paint a picture of a life you can achieve. These brands sell a feeling, a vision, a standard of excellence. They understand that to be aspirational is to command authority and attention. So being their BFF is a trap. The common advice you hear online for coaches and service providers is be relatable, show the mess, be vulnerable, be your audience's best friend. They'll know, like, and trust you. The idea is that people who like you and feel connected to you will buy. You've heard it a million times. Build, know, like, and trust. And the advice is well-intentioned, but ultimately, if you want to build a 7 or multi-7-figure business, it is a trap because people don't look up to people they feel like are their peers. They might like them, but they don't let them lead. High-ticket clients don't pay for empathy and to commiserate. They pay for the certainty that you've already solved the problem they're currently trapped in. Your vulnerability is their doubt. When you operate as a peer, you're going to invite scope creep. You're going to constantly be battling the expectation of free coaching, free labor in your DMs, answering tactical questions that you should be paid for, battling internal resentment because you've trained your audience to see you as a source of free content and not a premium solution that they're paying triple your rates for. So if being relatable is not all that great, why do people buy into it in the first place? Number one, fear of visibility. A lot of people have this, and it's much easier to be a peer than a leader because it feels safer. Staying small and relatable and just like everyone else protects you from a lot of the criticism that comes with standing out and being an authority online. It protects you from copycats. It protects you from critics and haters. Another thing that keeps powerful leaders in this relatable trap is wanting to feel like a good person. But the moment you prioritize being a good person over being a powerful CEO, you're going to compromise your scale. Women, especially, constantly, habitually put ourselves last on the list. Everyone else gets to eat before we do. But you have to remember that the value is not in your social media posts. It's not in your free content. Can those things be valuable? Yes, but the value is in the transformation, and the transformation is inside your paid work. And it's only fair that there be an even exchange when someone accesses that value, period. Plus, here's the secret, ladies. The boys are not worried about this. They know that the correct messaging enables an instant yes. Unrelatable content is the shortest distance between a cold follower and a high-ticket client because it proves your authority immediately. And here's the big misunderstanding. Many of the 7- and 8-figure entrepreneurs now who are still telling people to be relatable as a marketing strategy built their businesses years ago, pre-COVID, when the online space was a completely different animal. Back then, the market wasn't as mature, especially for online businesses. Being relatable worked better back then than it does now. Now, those people are so well known and so big that they actually have to be relatable in order to show their humanity. Their authority is already established, but for you, building now, being relatable is the completely wrong strategy. The other thing that grinds my gears about this be relatable advice is it's patriarchy. Period. This is a requirement that we only place on women. The guys who are idolized are unapologetically successful. Insert your favorite male business or other public figure here. It's only when a woman gets a little too loud, a little too visible, a little too successful, that we hit her with the, oh, she's not relatable, like it's some kind of crime. Hello, duh. Half the time that person is very kind, very human, but actually doesn't want to live a life that's relatable to most people. That's literally the point. Why would you want to act relatable when what you want is actually so far beyond what most people would ever dream or achieve? If someone wants a relatable mentor and they insist upon it, they're going to keep getting relatable results because they're someone who cannot or will not learn from people who are different from themselves or who are uncomfortably ahead of them. If someone is pointing at successful people and going, that's unrelatable, there's part of them that doesn't feel like they can have that success. Relatability attracts clients who want to commiserate. Unrelatability filters for clients who are ready to invest in transformation. You want your clients getting excellent, out of this world results. That's the best thing that could possibly happen for your business. And someone who doesn't believe they can have that type of success is simply never going to have it. So you don't even want the clients that insist you be relatable anyway. And remember, being unrelatable doesn't mean being unkind. It doesn't mean not being human. It just means unapologetically showing up as your full self in all of your success and your authority. If someone insists that that success makes you too unrelatable and it makes them uncomfortable, you don't want them as a client anyway. You can be kind, you can connect with your audience, but that does not mean I'm just like you. There are other ways to do that that are more effective and will get you a bigger business and better clients. Relatable energy is horizontal. It's about meeting your audience where they are and commiserating with them. Oh, I have this problem too. Oh, I'm right where you're at. Aspirational energy is vertical. It's about embodying, on some level, the person they want to become. High-ticket clients don't pay you to be their friend. They pay you to be their guide. So the problem is when you're too relatable, you attract clients who want your help for free because you're just like them. You train them to come to you as a friend and see you as a source of free content, not a premium solution that they will pay for. It also makes it really difficult to raise your prices, introduce premium offers, expand your offer suite to include scalable offers that don't include access to you because you're constantly fighting the perception that you're just like them. When you're too relatable, a sudden price increase is seen by your audience as a betrayal. How can you charge that much? You were just complaining about the same thing I'm complaining about. When you embody a vertical aspirational energy, a high price is seen as maintaining the standard. That's just the price. The price is part of the exclusivity and proof that the transformation works. And when you're talking about scaling your business to 7 figures, you're going to need to expand your offer suite and limit the amount of access that most of your customers have to you. If your main selling point is your relatability, that doesn't work that well because they're not actually going to be relating to you inside most of your offers. A 7-figure business sells transformation, not relatability, not your time. They sell a movement, a brand, a transformation, an aspirational result. It's not about being inauthentic. It's about leading with your expertise and your results and your authority. It's about creating a mission and a movement that your ideal client wants to be a part of. And this, by the way, has the added benefit of creating a business that people don't buy into because of you and your presence and your energy. They buy into it because of the brand, the movement, the business itself. For example, there's a big difference between me leaning into, ooh, come work with me, Donata White, a business mentor, which I do hope is persuasive, and you'll consider doing that. But more persuasive is the movement I've built. Unrelatable. Helping women become their biggest, most authoritative, most influential, and wealthy selves. Saying, screw playing small, we're playing to win. We're building businesses and lives that are completely unrelatable to the masses. That is a movement. That is a mission my clients want to be a part of. So that's really important when we're talking about legacy and having the option to sell your business or retire without the business completely collapsing. You have to sell a movement, not your time, not yourself. And there is a balance because you don't want to seem completely inaccessible, but relatable is not the move. So let's talk about some actionable shifts that you can make to your brand and content to better position you to scale to 7 figures and beyond. In your content, I want you to stop talking about struggle and start talking about the solution. Instead of showing the mess, show the results. Your content should be a constant reminder of the level they're operating at and the results that you can provide. You're not talking about, oh, I'm just like you, I struggle with XYZ, getting emotional on the internet. Why? Because it disrupts the coach-client dynamic or the service provider-client dynamic. You can't be a solid source of professional information or service if you're spilling your guts every 5 minutes and crying all over the internet. Or if you're talking about what a hot mess you are, your house is always messy just like theirs, who does that attract? People who have their stuff together don't want to hire somebody who's always a mess. People who are a mess might be attracted to another mess, but they'll see you as just like them. It doesn't foster respect and authority. It totally disrupts the relationship that you need to have with your clients. The point is not to commiserate with your audience, but rather teach from your experience. Teaching from experience is different from being relatable right in this moment. When you're telling stories, because that is important, especially on social media, you're not telling a story that doesn't have an ending. You're not telling a story that doesn't have a lesson for the listener. You're not trauma dumping. You're not commiserating. You're telling a story to show your authority and your experience. I also want you really quick, just audit your brand visuals and your language a little bit. Are you speaking to the how-to problems of a beginner or the complex, nuanced problems of an advanced client, the person you actually want to work with, the person who comes into your world and gets incredible results, pays in full, and tells all their friends? Do most of your visuals look like something you would record to send a friend? Do they look like you're on FaceTime, or do they look like they're coming out of a 7-figure or multi-7-figure business? Are you speaking to people with a simplistic understanding of your industry or somebody with a more nuanced understanding? What problems are you addressing? Are they the highest value problems of your premium buyer, or are you just repeating simplistic, basic 3 tips too in order to get some views and some saves and some engagement? Because here's what happens in your business when you stop being relatable. Immediately, you're going to be seen as more authoritative and people start taking your company seriously. People are going to love to watch you. Your content is going to be a must-see. You're going to start attracting and activating higher ticket, higher quality, higher intent buyers. And you begin to build a brand that sells itself. And it's a positive feedback loop because then you're going to start embodying this aspirational energy in your own life, which makes it a lot easier for you to believe your next level is coming and increases your authority even more. And unless you want to live a relatable life, you have to stop operating with relatable messaging in your business. You need to build a brand that is reflective of your expertise and the transformation you offer. Building this level of commanding aspirational authority requires high-level customized strategy to ensure your brand language, your messaging, your content assets filter for your exact premium buyer. So if you're ready to make that shift and command your market, the application to Unrelatable is the next step. Thanks so much for tuning in to the 7-Figure CEO Playbook. If you've been listening to this private podcast series, you're already an action taker. You've got the strategy, you've got the drive, but to hit 7 figures and beyond, you don't just need more information, you need the right room. The Unrelatable Mastermind is that room. This is my exclusive year-long private and mastermind space designed for leaders like you who are ready to stop proving and start winning. We're not just a group, we're a curated inner circle of high-achieving coaches and service providers who are dedicated to creating unrelatable lives and unrelatable results, scaling to 7 figures and beyond. This space is where we get to the heart of getting you to your next level. You're not just another number, you're a partner. My clients inside Unrelatable get direct private access to me on demand. You can book private calls with me. We have twice monthly group coaching calls, 2 retreats per year, and even a dedicated monthly mindset call and daily mindset support with a licensed therapist. This partnership between you, me, and a highly exclusive, curated group of your peers is your ticket to your next level. The applications for Unrelatable are open now, but they won't be open forever. Apply right now to lock in the best rate the space will ever be offered at. And as a bonus, you'll get 2 private one-on-one intensives with me to kick off your time in the space and build a concrete action plan for your journey to 7 figures. Head to the show notes and click the link to apply, or head to donatawhite.com/unrelatable. I'm so excited to see you inside.